This area, where they live, is home to many people from the Masai tribe. Here is their full story.
My name is Selina Nkoile. I am a young Masai woman. I was born and raised in Mosiro village in Kajiado West sub-county, but now I reside in Bomanoma Eco Lodge in Narok. Growing up, I was in a purely nomadic pastoralist family, and for us as young girls, education was not in our plan, but fortunately, an international organization built the first school in my village, and that's how education became my golden opportunity to a better future. And as now, I am a true testimony of transformational power of education, because before I enrolled in the school that was built in my village, I was already reserved for marriage. But when the school was built and our dads were convinced that girls needed to be given an opportunity to go to school, I think being able to go to school really was like still one of the highlights of my life, because I was able to enjoy my childhood. I was able to meet my age mates and study and learn new different things, and get to know different languages. I only knew Masai as a language, which is my native language, but now I know Swahili, I know English. I can communicate with anyone from the globe who communicates in those two languages on top of my native language. So so that makes me a daughter. I'm also a great friend. I am a wife.
My name is Brian Ash. I come from Richfield, Connecticut, in the United States of America, and I've lived here in Kenya for the past 11 years now. December 2019. This whole thing was one empty field. Not a tree, not a building, just an empty field. Every single thing you see here, we've added from 2020. And the reason that we now have an eco lodge is because we came here in December of 2019 thinking that we were just going to build a house, a kitchen, and a bathroom for ourselves. But immediately people just started coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. So we had to expand our small home into a full-on eco lodge, which includes now an organic farm. Selena, who has studied permaculture, really planned out the farm and did a beautiful job of farm management, and then I planted every single tree that you see here. As an American in Kenya, I faced a lot of challenges over the past 10 years, from very small challenges to bigger challenges. Something as small as, it's very hard for me to find genuine friends. Most people, I find, they want something from me. When they see me and that I've come from America, they assume that I must have money. So I've had many people pretend to be my friend, and they're very good at it. I've been fooled many times, and they're my friend and for this long time, and we're great friends, and then all of a sudden, they want maybe a loan or they want something, and then once they get whatever they want, they disappear, and I've never seen them again. So it's really hard for me to find genuine friends. So my friend circle here in Kenya is small, but good quality people, which is kind of, I think, better than having a lot of, just acquaintances. Most people in Kenya don't assume that I speak Swahili. So they'll talk about me in front of me. That's happened many times, whether it's in the market, on a bus, walking somewhere, in a restaurant. And most of the time I just listen first. I don't say anything. And when they're done talking, I have created a very funny comeback. And when I say it to them, they are absolutely shocked and embarrassed and tend to just get up and run away because they had no idea that I could understand every single thing that they had been saying about me. So 12 years ago, I came to Kenya for the first time and started a nonprofit organization called ArriveKenya.org, which helps street children and orphans. We built schools and orphanages in Western Kenya. So I lived in Western Kenya for about 6 years until I met my now wife, Selena.
So me and Brian met through our late friend Susan. May her soul rest in eternal peace, and I miss her every day. Yeah, Susan, she was studying a course in gender studies, and Brian, for the last 8 years, has been doing community development. So he has an American nonprofit that partners with local nonprofit organizations, and they partner on projects. So Susan was one of the interns in his project in in Migori, Kenya. So and then now when Susan was done with her course, she came back. She lives in a neighboring village from mine, and we were both working on a project to end female genital mutilation, child marriage, and teenage pregnancies. And every time I met Susan, she would be like, "Oh, girl, I think I need to introduce you to Brian. You guys would get along so well." And every time we met, she mentioned Brian, and I'm like, "Who is this Brian? Like, what does he do?" So one time, Brian also had a project in her village, and they would go on excursions and live with the Masai and also like do stuff there and empower women. So one day I was in Ethiopia doing cultural tourism, and Brian was in Susan's village, and Brian bumped into Susan when he was on a run. So Susan was like, "Hey, Brian, okay, today I have to give you my friend's number and you guys need to talk." So Susan gave Brian my number, and then we started talking to Brian while I was still in Ethiopia, and I was like, okay, and Brian is texting me in Swahili, so Brian knows fluent Swahili. So we started talking, and every year he used to go to the US to visit friends and family and do fundraisers and also like resource mobilization for his organization. It's called Arrive in Kenya. So we talked, and he went to America, and when he came back, we met, and I took him to my village.
When Selena and I first met, we went on some dates together, some that I'll never forget. And slowly but surely we fell in love, and at first you could think it was a challenge for a white person from America to be here in Kenya and be romantically engaged with a woman of the Masai tribe, because the culture is very different, the customs are very different, and we've both had to make compromises for sure in terms of culture and things that are the norm for the Masai culture compared to my American upbringing. But the thing that's helped me the most has been learning Swahili and being able to speak fluently in Swahili for the past 10 years, because without that language barrier, it's very easy for me to connect. It was easy for me to communicate with her late mother, her father, her family. I think when you have cross-cultural relationships, sometimes a very big challenge is that lack of communication or that communication barrier. But Selena speaks perfect English and Swahili, of course. I speak perfect English and Swahili. So not only do we have one language that we can express ourselves to each other in, but we have two. And that's a huge help in our relationship. It always has been, it continues to be, so that we both can really understand what the other person is saying or communicating in a conversation or just in daily life.
After getting to know each other, they had a wonderful time together, which created a special love between them. They spent a lot of time together, traveled to different places, and enjoyed each other's company. This bond eventually led him to ask her to be his wife. The most amazing thing about their story is this.
When we met with Brian, everything kind of became history because